This video is to help you correct your homework from 6.2.5. The problems were 6.104 through 6.115. So for 6.104, you had to solve the equations, show your work, and check your solution. So for this first one, you want to get x on one side. We have a 2x here and a 5x here. So we would subtract 2x from both sides. Then that creates a zero pair and drops out. And we get 16 equals 5x minus 2x is 3x plus 4. Next, we would want to get rid of our plus 4 by having the constant on just one side. So we'd subtract 4 from both sides. And the 16 minus 4 gives us 12. Equal sign comes down. 3x comes down. And again, this has zeroed out. And here we're at a stage where we know the value of 3x, but we want the value of just 1x or x. So we're going to divide both sides by 3. This creates a giant 1. So 12 divided by 3 gives us 4. So 4 equals x, or x equals 4. For showing our check, we're going to go back into the original equation, and we're going to replace x with the value we found x to be, which is 4. So that means we would have 2 times 4 plus 16 equals 5 times 4 plus 4. So 2 times 4 plus 16 equals 5 times 4 plus 4. You'd get 8 plus 16 equals 20 plus 4. Both sides equal 24, so we have shown that it checks. For this next one, again, your goal is to get x by itself on one side. We have 3x here and 2x here. So we'd subtract 2x from both sides. When we do that, 3x minus 2x is x. Minus 5 comes down. Equal sign comes down. 2x and minus 2x zero each other out, and the 14 comes down. We would then add 5 to both sides to get x by itself, and we get x equals 19. Again, this zeroes out. So 19 is our solution. Now we just need to show our check. So again, into the original equation, replacing x here and here with 19. So we would have 3 times 19 minus 5 equals 2 times 19 plus 14. Again, you're allowed a calculator, but you end up getting 57 minus 5 equals 38 plus 14, or 52 equals 52, and that shows that it checks. For this one, you would start by subtracting x from both sides. You get 4x minus 5 equals 15. Again, that's because these x's are zeroed out. We would add 5 to both sides, giving us 4x equals 20. Again, we don't want the value of 4x, we want just the value of 1x or x, so we would divide both sides by 4, which then creates a giant 1, so 1x or x, which is what we want. X would equal 5. We would go into our original equation and replace x here and here with 5. So we get 5 times 5 minus 5 equal to 5 plus 15. Remember, sometimes, again, they'll put a little question mark over this when we're checking. Oh, that's a bad looking question mark. So you can put that, but you don't have to for my purposes. And then you get 20 equals 20, which does check. To write an algebraic expression for the situation, 3 less than a number. Whenever you see the phrase a number, that's your variable. So x, or whatever variable you choose. 3 less than means subtract 3 from that, so x minus 3. 9 more than 3 times a number. Again, a number would be your x. Then you want to take 3 times that, so 3x. And then you want to take 9 and add to it, because more than means greater than. So 3x plus 9. 2 less than 5 times a number. So again, a number is your x. 5 times that would be 5x. And 2 less than means you're subtracting 2. For 6.106, we know that the base of this triangle has to be 3 times longer than its height. And the area is 486. So our base is 3 times longer than the height. So I used h for the height. You could also use x or any variable. And the base would be 3 times that, so 3h. And then we're going to do our define, our do, our decide, and of course our declare. So we have define our h and our 3h. Our do is how we solve the area of a triangle, which is to take the base times height. So again, one of these is the base, one of these is the height. So we're multiplying them and then divide by 2. Because again, area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2, or 1/2 base times height. And our decide is, does it equal 486? So what we find is that the values that work are for a height of 18 and a base of 3 times 18, or 54. And again, the reason that that works is because 18 times 54 divided by 2 equals 486. So our declare is that the base of the triangle would be 54 and the height would be 18. Now, if it helps, you could also, when you define this, put that this is our base. So you can put a B there for base as well, if that helps you remember that this is the height, this is the base. For 107, the probability of pulling out a green marble, well, there are 2 green marbles, and then we have to look at how many total marbles there are, which is 14. That's adding the 5 plus 3 plus 2 plus 4. But of course, probability needs to be simplified, so 1/7. Then, if she does not get a green marble and doesn't put it back in the bag, what's the probability she'll pull out? Pardon me, if she does get a green marble and doesn't put it back in the bag, what's the probability she'd now pull out a green marble? So there were 2 green marbles out of 14. Now there's 1 less than that, so there's only 1 left out of 13. So there's 1 marble out of 13 now that is green. And then assume that Candy does get the second green marble and does not return it to the bag. What's the probability that she'd now pull another green marble from the bag? Well, that of course is 0. It's not possible to pull any more green marbles out because they both have been pulled out and not returned to the bag. For which equations represent proportional relationships? Remember, proportional relationships are always in the format of y equals k times x, where k is your constant of proportionality, and these are linear equations that go through 0, 0. So this first one would be non-proportional. It's not proportional because it doesn't go through 0, 0. And the reason it doesn't go through 0, 0 is because of this plus 2 part. If the plus 2 was not on there, it would have been a proportional relationship with 3/4 as the constant proportionality. The second one here is proportional. It's strange that it has a mixed number as the constant proportionality, but that can occur. And again, it's in the right format. It would go through 0, 0, and it would be linear. And this third one is not proportional. And again, that's because it's not going through 0, 0. If you used your distributive property and multiply this out, you would see that it's 3x minus 3. So again, this minus 3 is what keeps it from being proportional and not going through 0, 0. For 109, we have this graphic, all right, and m is representing the distance in feet that she makes in her leaps. So we want to know how long her leaps are. So we know that m plus 1 plus 5 plus 1 has to equal 2 m's, m plus m plus 4. So we could set that up and write it as an equation, which they ask us to do for the second one, and then figure out your answer for the first one, or you could kind of instinctively figure it out first. Either way, the equation would be m plus 1 plus 5 plus 1 equals m plus 4, which is m plus 7 equals 2m plus 4. You'd subtract m from both sides, so you get 7 equals m plus 4. Subtract 4 from both sides, m equals 3. So that means her leaps are 3 feet. Then the tightrope length would be 3 plus 1 plus 5 plus 1, or 3 plus 3 plus 4. So that would be a total of 10 feet. I did not show that many steps for the solving of the algebra equation here, because again, the focus was really on figuring out the solution. But of course, normally we'd want to make sure we're showing all of our steps. For 6.1.10, again, you're going to solve it and check your solution. So you should first subtract 10 from both sides. Then you get 3x equals 15. Again, that's because this zeroes out. You divide both sides by 3, because we want to find the value of 1x or x. X then equals 5. For the check, we're going to go back to the original equation, replace x with 5. Again, if you want to, you could put a question mark here, but you don't have to. And you do end up getting 25 equals 25, so it checks. For this one, you want to first use your distributive property. So 5 times x minus 5 times 2. So you get 5x minus 10 equals 30, and again, that's distributive property. So you can use the dp as the abbreviation. Add 10 to both sides. Then you get 5x equals 40. Divide by 5. X equals 8. And then show your check. Now again, in my check, I went to the top equation. For my class, you also could have gone to this next equation. For this one, you would start by subtracting x from both sides. You get x minus 9 equals 7. You add 9 to both sides. X equals 16. And again, you'd show your check. For your check, again, I went to the original equation, placed x here and here with 16. For this one, we want to write an expression to represent the variable terms and then solve it. Now, even though it says they want you to use the 5D process, I would also be fine if you wanted to use the algebra equation process instead. So first of all, we need to make sure we figure out what our variables should be defined as, whether we're doing 5D or algebra. So we know that the lower Yosemite Falls, or Yosemite Falls probably, is 355 feet shorter than the middle. And we know that the upper Yosemite Falls is 80 feet more than twice the middle. And of course, all three of them together is 2,425. So the key is that the lower Yosemite Falls relates to the middle, and the upper Yosemite Falls relates to the middle. So it would make sense for X to be our middle Cascade Falls. So X equals the height of the middle Cascades Falls. Then the lower would be X minus 355, because we're told that the lower is 355 feet shorter than the middle. And we're also told that the upper is 80 feet more than twice the middle. So that would make that 2x plus 80. So again, the middle is x, the lower is x minus 355, the upper is 2x plus 80. And then those three added together have to equal 2,425. Okay. So the key to it is to make sure that you can identify and define your variables, and then also that you could set up and solve it, whether it's with 5D or algebraically. So I brought that equation over here. First, I would combine my like terms, which is the x plus 2x equaling 4x, and also the negative 355 and 80 being negative 275. We're negative and subtracting our interchangeable ideas, adding a negative and subtracting. Then I would add 275 to both sides. I get 4x equals 2,700. I don't want the value of 4x, I want the value of 1x, so I divide by 4. So I get x equals 675. That then is the height of the middle Cascades Falls. But I believe they asked for the height of the others as well, so the lower would be that x value, 675 minus 355. Well, 675 minus 355 is 320, so that's the height of the lower falls. And then the upper is 2 times the value of x plus 80. So 2 times that 675 plus 80 is 1,430, which is the height of the upper Yosemite Falls. To evaluate these, 7x plus 8, you're going to replace x with 9, so 7 times 9, and then add 8 to that, and you get 71. Here you can replace y with negative 6, subtract 11 from it, and then multiply by 6. You're still following order of operations, so you get negative 102. For the third one here, you would take 5 times your value of m, which is negative 4. 45 minus that plus 7 gives you 72. And for this one, you would take negative 2 times negative 20 and then add 9 to that, which gives you positive 49. For this problem, which is relating back to previous work, you have to find at least 2 ways to get him across, writing your solutions in symbolic form. So when we can only use the numbers 4, 5, and 7, we have to get a value of 19. We can use positive or negative values, and we can repeat them. So a couple possibilities. For the first one would be you could take 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 7, or 3 times 4 plus 7. You could take 7 plus 7 plus 5, or 2 times 7 plus 5. And again, there's others as well. For the second one, you could take 6 sets of 3 plus 7, or 4 sets of 7 minus 3. And that will give you the values of 25 that you need. And for the third one, you want to get values of 23 using 5, 2, or 9, or all of them. So you could have 5 groups of 5 minus 2, or 2 groups of 9 plus 5. Again, there's other possibilities as well. For 6.1.14, Walter walked 15.5 blocks from his house to work. It took him 35 minutes. What's his rate in blocks per hour? So I think the easiest way to do that is to say he can walk 15.5 blocks in 35 minutes. We want to know how many blocks he can walk in 60 minutes, because of course per hour means in 60 minutes. And then I would set this up and solve it with cross products. So 15.5 times 60 divided by 35 would give you approximately 26.57 blocks per hour. You could also round it to, you could have left it with a fractional answer as well, or rounded it differently to the 10th, maybe to the thousandths. For 6.1.15, Jana's mom gave her $100 to shop for some new school clothes. She's at the store. She's picked out a pair of pants that cost $49.50. She wants to spend the rest of her money buying various colors of a shirt that are on sale for $12.99. We have to write an inequality that can be used to calculate the number of shirts she can buy, solve our inequality, and then answer it. So what we know is she's already buying pants for $49.50. Okay, where I have that. And she wants to buy a number of these shirts that are $12.99 each. So X is representing the number of shirts she can buy. So $12.99 times the number of shirts plus $49.50 that she's going to spend on the pants. That has to be less than or equal to 100, because she can't spend more money than she has. She can spend less than 100, or she can spend exactly equal to 100. So this would be the idea of writing an inequality. Then we would solve it just like we would an equation. So we'd first subtract $49.50 from both sides. When we do that, with the $12.99 times X is going to come down. This is 0, 0 out. The less than or equal to sign will come down. And $100 minus $49.50 will equal $50.50. Again, we don't want the value of X, though we want the value, or pardon me, we don't want the value of $12.99X, we want the value of just X. X is currently being multiplied by $12.99, so we would need to divide by $12.99. And again, if we're going to do it on one side, we have to do it on the other, whether it's an equality or an inequality. So again, that's creating like your giant 1 times X, $50.50 divided by $12.99 you could do on your calculator. And you end up finding that X has to be less than or equal to 3.887. Well, X is representing shirts, so you can't buy partial shirts. So X is basically going to have to be 3 shirts or less. So again, the homework was quite lengthy, but hopefully there was some good information that you were able to pick up on. And feel free to again ask questions if you have any. Thanks.